Years ago, the story of Scott Odell's award-winning book Island of the Blue Dolphins captivated children with its poignant and deeply moving tale. It remains unforgettable for many, stirring feelings of sadness and admiration for the courage within its pages. However, most people believed it to be purely fictional, existing only in books or films. Yet the story is rooted in a remarkable true event based on the life of a woman who survived alone for 18 years on an isolated island. Her story is one of resilience and heroism, a narrative that deserves to be shared with the world. Before we delve into the story, welcome to the most amazing channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be the first to enjoy more incredible stories like this one. San Nicolas Island, parts of the Channel Islands off the coast of Alta California, has a rich history. Scholars believe humans have lived on the island for over 10,000 years, long before the Spanish explorer Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo first documented it in 1540. In 1602, another Spanish explorer, Sebastian Vizcaino, formally named the island San Nicolas and noted the presence of the Nicoleno people. Despite this, outsiders showed little interest in the island's inhabitants at the time. The Nicoleno thrived for centuries, trading peacefully with their neighbors and traveling between islands in canoes. This harmony was shattered in 1811 when Russian fur traders, drawn by the abundant sea otters and seals on the island, disrupted their way of life. Initially, the Russians established trade with the Nicoleno, but tensions quickly arose when the terms of the agreement were not honored. Accusations of murder against a native Alaskan hunter escalated the conflict. By 1814, Russian-American company hunters and their native Alaskan allies returned to the island aboard the brig Elmina, launching a brutal massacre that decimated the Nicoleno population. For nearly 2 decades, the tragedy on San Nicolas remained unknown to the wider world. It wasn't until 1835 that the schooner Pure es Nada, better than nothing, captained by Charles Hubbard, arrived at the island to relocate the remaining inhabitants. Hubbard's crew, including Isaac Sparks, gathered the surviving Nicoleno, about 20 individuals, and brought them abroad. However, as the ship prepared to depart, a fierce storm arose. In the chaos and fear of being wrecked by the turbulent surf and jagged rocks, the crew hastily set sail, leaving someone behind, a woman. What happened that fateful day had been the subject of much speculation. Some say the woman realized her young son was missing and in desperation jumped from the ship and swam back to the island to search for him. Others believe she refused to leave her home, choosing isolation over relocation. Another theory suggests the crew failed to conduct a thorough search of the island in their rush to escape the storm. In 1853, almost 2 decades later, a single woman was discovered living alone on St. Nicholas. This discovery raised a haunting question. Had she been forgotten during the original evacuation? Captain Hubbard reportedly had little difficulty persuading other Nicoleno to board his ship in 1835, but the woman's fate was unique. Later accounts suggest that the woman, later known as Juana Maria, stayed voluntarily to be with her son. Together, they lived on the island until tragedy struck. Her son was killed, possibly by a shark or killer whale, leaving her utterly alone. In the wind-swept autumn of 1853, whispers of a lone woman on St. Nicholas Island gripped the imaginations of explorers and sailors alike. Reports of footprints in the sand and a mysterious heart sparked curiosity. The sightings of activity on the island spurred Father Jose Gonzalez Rubio to organize an expedition. He reportedly offered a $200 reward to a man named Thomas Jeffries to locate Juana Maria, but Jeffries returned empty-handed. However, the stories he brought back piqued the interest of George Nedeva, a fur trapper from Santa Barbara, who decided to launch his own search efforts. Intrigued, Nedeva launched expedition after expedition, determined to uncover the truth. On his third attempt, fate intervened. Carl Dittman, one of Nedeva's men, stumbled upon human footprints on the island's desolate shores. A trail of dried sea blubber led the team to a crude hut constructed of whale bones. There they found her, a woman dressed in a skirt woven from shimmering green cormorant feathers. She greeted them with a smile, her voice lilting in a language no one could understand, her presence a testimony to nearly 2 decades of survival in complete isolation. Juana Maria had endured on San Nicolas, crafting a life from the island's sparse resources. She hunted seals and wild ducks, foraged for food, and sewed garments using bone needles. Her songs filled the air, an echo of a lost world. Perhaps she gazed at the mainland's distant silhouette, wondering if anyone would return for her. When the crew took her aboard their ship, Juana Maria seemed delighted, marveling at the world beyond her island. She shared songs and stories through gestures, walking the sailors through her daily rituals of survival. But beneath her joy was an undercurrent of sorrow. Her story was one of tragedy and endurance. She reportedly told Captain Nedeva that wild dogs had killed her child, leaving her utterly alone. Upon reaching Santa Barbara, Juana Maria's arrival was both a marvel and a mystery. The Chumash people, who once had traded with her tribe, could not understand her language, nor could the Tongva people from nearby Santa Catalina Islands. Linguists would later suggest her tongue was related to the Uto-Aztecan languages, but by then her voice, her link to the Nicoleno culture, was already fading into history. Despite the language barrier, Juana Maria captivated those around her. She embraced the novelty of horses, European clothes, and strange new foods with childlike wonder. She was estimated to be around 50 years old. Yet she remained strong and energetic. Her face had a pleasant charm, always brightened by a constant smile. Nedeva described her as a woman of medium height, rather thick. For a brief time, it seemed she had found a new community, her resilience and warmth bridging the gap left by lost words. Yet, tragedy lingered close. 7 weeks after her rescue, Juana Maria succumbed to dysentery in Gary, California. Her fondness for fresh fruits and vegetables after years of a nutrient-poor diet proved too much for her body to handle. On her deathbed, she was baptized by Father Sanchez and given the name Juana Maria, a poignant recognition of her humanity. She was buried in an unmarked grave at the Santa Barbara Mission Cemetery, her resting place a quiet conclusion to a life defined by solitude and survival. The artifacts she left behind, her water basket, clothing, and bone needles, were displayed briefly before being lost to the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. Even her feathered dress, sent to the Vatican, disappeared, leaving behind only stories. Juana Maria's legacy endures as a symbol of resilience and loss. Her songs, her tools, and her survival speak of the strength of the human spirit, even as her language and culture vanished like whispers on the wind. Her story, preserved in fragments, reminds us of the fragility of memory and the enduring power of the human will.